The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome back to Mastering AI Momentum Show, where we explore how founders and innovators are scaling smarter, not harder, through the power of AI. I'm Elise Smith, your AI business strategist with Millionaire Momentum AI Agency, where we help founders and marketing leaders stuck with unpredictable client acquisition and wasted time on strategies that aren't converting with the right AI strategies and systems that can scale with predictability and attract the right fit clients every single time. So today's guest is someone I have loved following online, a true example of what it means to lead with a vision, values, and vulnerability. So John T. Meyer, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Hey, thanks, Elise. Glad to be here. It's going to be fun.
Awesome. So John T. Meyer is the Executive Director of Leadership South Dakota, the founder of Leadmore, and a coach for entrepreneurs and agency founders ready to become the best version of themselves. Before that, he co-founded and sold Lemonly, a design firm that worked with world-class brands like Netflix, Marriott, and Major League Baseball. Woo! He's passionate about personal growth, leadership, and helping others get uncomfortable in the pursuit of being better every day. So welcome, John. Thanks
Perfect.
so much.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and talk about AI. This is going to be great.
Yeah, definitely. So before we get started, tell us in your own words who you serve and how you serve them.
Yeah, I really have two audiences today at my business, Leadmore. So I have a group coaching program I call No More Solo, because I believe if you're building agencies, you're building creative companies, you don't want to be a solopreneur. And the way to get through that, to build to not get trapped in a job, but to build a great company, is to grow. And I would argue like AI will be one of those tickets. It could be a virtual assistant, a contractor, a freelancer. You don't have to jump right to salaried employees, but you don't want to be stuck in what I call the solopreneur trap, where you have to wear all the hats. 1 month you make 20K and the next month you make 2K. I see a lot of these clients. So I help them with a group coaching program to try to grow up to, from 100K to 3, 4, 5. And then I work with CEOs one-on-one who are at that 500K and up, up to 10 million in revenue typically. So these are agency founders. They're building teams. They got to learn about delegating, getting rid of tasks, focusing on what's uniquely their zone of genius. So those are the two customers I serve with two different products.
I love that. And you can tell you have a passion for what you do. So how did you get started in this work? Were you always like totally into business?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Good question. I mean, so how did I get into coaching is I'm coaching the person that I used to be. So you mentioned Lemonly. I built this agency for a decade, started just my business partner and I. She was the designer. I did everything else. So sold the work, managed the work, grew the business. We grew that to 20 employees, a few million in revenue every year, and then sold that business in 2021. But yeah, starting as an entrepreneur is a good question. My dad was a small business owner, and I never really thought of him as an entrepreneur until later in life. I realized, yeah, he totally is. I didn't really know what that word meant, to be honest, but I like the problem solving of business. And you see a problem, you try to solve it, you try different strategies, you pivot and change. It's just a really fun environment to try to serve people by, solving their problems and delivering some sort of value. So I don't know if I thought I would be an entrepreneur, but I realized it was probably the best thing for me because I like a lot of ideas, like a lot of inputs. I probably am not great at getting instructions from somebody else. So I think it was a good, I settled in where I was meant to be.
That's awesome. I love that. So did you have a job or did you go straight into entrepreneurialism?
Good question. So I did 11 months of corporate America. I started out as a consultant in a large global consulting company. And I got that job offer right out of college, and it was a great job offer. I graduated in '08. I was going to make $50,000. I thought that was amazing. I moved to the big city in Minneapolis. Well, then the big recession hit, and I wasn't going to travel. They weren't going to put me on a plane to go be a consultant. I was just a little analyst. And it just kind of felt a little bit stuck on the machine, like a cog in the wheel. And I was managing a customer support inbox. And I remember when I figured out what they were billing me out for, I thought I was making all this money. And then I learned what they were charging me for. And I was like, I'm not worth that. I'm just working on pivot tables and like Excel spreadsheets. But it was really good experience for me. And it was actually, my brother and I we're from South Dakota. We found a grant through our home state of South Dakota, economic development grant. And they were trying to really tackle brain drain. A lot of young people who grow up in South Dakota want to get the heck out of here. And so the two rules was the business had to use technology and you had to be based in South Dakota. So we moved home. We got this $15,000 grant and we started an agency in like 2009. And we were helping South Dakota businesses get onto social media. This is the advent of Web 2.0, and Facebook had just left college campuses. Twitter was a brand new thing. YouTube was this emerging search engine. And so really it became what's called inbound marketing today, but we didn't have that word at the time. And so, yeah, one little chance of applying for this grant really changed the trajectory of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. I love how everything happens the way that it's meant to happen.
I love that Steve Jobs quote, right? We can only connect the dots looking backwards. And so, now I'm 20 years into my career, and you're like, why did I do that? And why did that happen? And now it makes sense. But at the time, it doesn't always make sense.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like scaling your business and those defining moments, what were those? Like when you think back from the day that you opened your business, whether it was Lemonly or the Leadmore, what were those defining moments that helped you to level up as you were growing those businesses?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think a lot of them revolve around people, right? So this first business that my brother and I started was called Nine Clouds. But then when we met Amy, who eventually became my business partner at Lemonly, she brought this design talent into our company. So like one person can change the trajectory of your life. I think about that at Lemonly when I met my coach. Dan Martell was a person that I coached with for several years and has really informed a lot of how I coach myself. I never would have even thought about being a coach until the fact that I had a coach and know the value of it. So I think people are certainly huge moments. You mentioned Marriott was a customer of ours. I think there are times where key businesses or contests can change the trajectory. So, we were kind of grinding away, building this little infographic company, Lemonly, and, we had done one project with them, and then we got to do 6 projects with them. And I think then they asked, like, what would it cost to do 80 infographics? And I started doing the math of what that proposal would be, and that really changed our business. We kind of elevated to a new tier, and that forced us to grow up, and that forced us to build more processes and systems and staff up. And, that changed the history of Lemonly. You can't tell without talking about our relationship with Marriott. So there are like these key kind of like fork in the road moments. In terms of after I had exited, I was kind of tinkering around with a few ideas. I honestly I sold the business not knowing what I was going to do next. People didn't believe me, but I was just ready for a new chapter. And I had a friend in North Dakota who runs an agency. And she said, have you ever thought about coaching? And that's when I was like, I don't know, like, am I a coach? Can I do that? And so I helped her and a few other folks. And then after trying it on for a little bit, decided I was good at it. And in 23, launched this Leadmore. So, you never know. I think often we get pulled into the market, or the path that we're meant to go down isn't clear at first, but, it starts to take shape.
Yeah. And I love the focus that you have on people too, because that's so important. I mean, even as we transition and talk about AI, the people are still so needed. And when you think about growing businesses, it's usually around, changes or up-leveling people, process, and technology. And I think that all 3 of those things are so vital to a good working business. So we've talked about people. What about process and technology? What kind of up-levels did you do as you were building your business?
One that stands out with process is, and I coached a lot of these concepts with my agency founders, is in 2018, we started implementing EOS or Traction, if you're familiar with that. And it's this great operating system for, I'd say, small to medium sized businesses, but agencies in particular. It works really well. And I always say we probably don't sell Lemonly had we not done that. And the story I always tell is, I used to be my leadership team. We had a Google Doc, and once a month we'd meet, and you could just add things to the Google Doc agenda. And I remember in a meeting we were talking, someone said, "Hey, we need new light bulbs upstairs in the office." And I was just like, "What are we doing? Like, how have I not empowered people to just go buy the light bulbs?" Like, it was a big inflection moment for me as a leader. Like, I'm not doing my job. And that's when I decided we got to kind of level this up. And we had someone come in to help us implement Traction. Everyone kind of knew their seat on the bus and what they own and what they run. And that really, I think, started churning the machine faster, and more importantly, made me more expendable, because when you're trying to sell a company, and I coach all my founders, is you should build a company you can sell, even if you don't want to, because that means it's a good company. And so then I was able to, step away. It's a weird dynamic when you're going through an exit, as you're telling them how smart and how great your company is while simultaneously telling them that you don't matter at all and you could step away. It'll be just fine. But that's where processes come in, technology comes in as well. So that stands out as a big sort of milestone.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always heard you can't be the magic in your own business. Otherwise, you're basically just building yourself a job at that point.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions I'll ask my founders is, if somebody bought your business today, what's the first thing they would do tomorrow? Because usually you already know the answer, and something is holding you back, whether it be, it sounds hard, you don't want to spend the money, you actually don't want to let go of something, so if I ask you what's the first thing you would do if someone bought your business, the first thing they would change, if you already know the answer, that's probably what you should go do. Start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. So I know your company is called Leadmore, but how do you get your leads? Like, let's kind of peek behind the curtain here a little bit. What does your sales process look like?
Yeah. And this connects to AI too. So I'm a really big believer in creating content, and I like to say, document, don't create. So you don't have to overthink the perfect Instagram post with the ideal hashtag and filter, but you do need to create content and share it with the world. Because if you are an agency or a coach or a consultant, like what I would call like an authority business, you need to share your ideas with the world, because the way these businesses get customers is by know, like, and trust. So people need to know who you are. And if they know you, hopefully they decide they like you. And if they like you, then how do they trust you that you can actually, solve their problem or create a transformation for them? And so I create a lot of content. I post every day, usually on LinkedIn, try to every day on Instagram. And so I think my sales process looks like top of funnel, creating content. And then usually middle of funnel is some sort of, either you follow me and I might engage you in the direct messages, like, "Hey, are you looking for a coach? Or are you here for the videos?" Or it's a monthly workshop, free workshop. Like, now you know me, but in order for you to like and trust me, I'm going to show you some of the things that I know, some of the things that I teach. So I think that's, kind of middle of the funnel. And I always say with coaching, particularly with my business, no one's going to hire a coach until you get to talk to them. And so either a workshop, or I'll usually bottom of funnel would then be like a book a call on my calendar. And I want to try to add so much value in those 20, 30 minutes that at that point you're like, why wouldn't I work with John? Why wouldn't like, he's clearly going to help me grow. Because I think vibes matter in coaching, and you don't want to work with a coach that you don't vibe with. Like, if you don't respect them, or you don't seem like it's a good fit, aren't inspired, there's probably somebody else out there for you. Yeah. And so I really want to give you in that funnel as much of a taste of who I am, what I think about, what I believe in. And then you decide by then if it's a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely, so I came from coaching as well. And oh man, it was so fun. I loved doing the workshops and all of that. It was a lot of work, I'll tell you. But the idea was to, wow them with everything that you give for free. And then it's like in the back of their mind, they're thinking, well, if this is all for free, what's his paid stuff like, right?
Yeah. And I'm always pretty honest. Like, you can go subscribe to my YouTube and probably get about 80% of the way there. Like, those are a lot of my ideas. Those are a lot of my frameworks. Watch it, learn it, take it, use it. The last 20 though is like that's where the accountability, the cheerleading, the personalization, the customization, that's the stuff that really kind of moves the needle in the end. So
yeah, exactly. And it's that process too. I mean, watching YouTube videos and trying to like piece it all together, that is not what people want to do. They
yeah.
hire a coach to be able to get kind of that step-by-step process. And it sounds like you've got that nailed down really, really nicely. So thank you for telling
you
us
bet.
a little bit about your sales funnel and how things work there. So how about AI? What are fun things that you're doing with AI right now?
Yeah. So my thought process in AI is that I try to resist the fear-based sort of marketing of like, you're falling behind, it's going to take your job. Like, oh my gosh. Cause I think you just then get so overwhelmed, you do nothing, right? You're just kind of paralyzed. But I do think, since I work with solopreneurs and small teams, like it's an edge. Like using AI is an edge. And so if we're trying to be small and lean and mean and efficient and effective, why wouldn't we use that edge? So I definitely encourage my clients to be tinkerers of AI. I would say right now I'm in probably like a level 1, level 2 in terms of what I'm using. It's a lot of fundamental, like I love granola for recording my coaching calls and taking notes. I use, ChatGPT to generate content ideas. I have, in my terms of my level 2, I have built like a custom GPT, or I call it a John bot, that's trained on all of my content. That's 200 YouTube videos, 100 podcasts, dozens of newsletters, just to sound like me if I'm trying to either struggle with getting ideas, if I need a caption for my Instagram post. My business, I've grown 2 7-figure agencies, which were very people intensive. And now I'm trying to grow a 7-figure coaching business with just me and my VA. And so one of the ways we do that is AI. Like she can create content on my behalf when I'm on a coaching call and create some of that efficiency. So I haven't quite got up to like the agent level, but definitely like using tools, tinkering. I believe in it enough that in my community, like I also have an online community on Circle for all my coaching clients. We have an AI coach who comes in once a month and does what we call systems and AI call. Cause I do think we overuse the word AI. Sometimes you need an automation or a system, which is driven by technology. It may not actually be artificial intelligence, but those are so closely linked. And so Chris comes in every month and teaches a new sort of system that he's building, because I just think it's so important, and you don't want to fall behind. So just take this edge while it's still there for you.
Yeah. And I think that's where people start, right? Is they start with the generative versions, the chat GPT and the types of things that you can put a prompt in and it'll spit something out based on the prompt that you give it. And I like that you're kind of in almost that 1.5 state where it's like, you're past generative, not quite too agentic, where you're building out your own GPTs, which are so fun. And I like that you are training it on your own voice. So you're not letting it stop you of like, oh, but is it going to be authentic? You're making it work for you. And I think that's really important. So let's go into the agentic, because that's where I love to be.
Sure.
Since we're AI agency. So if you could have an AI agent work in your business and do anything for you, what would you want it to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, certainly finding leads is always a big one. Any type of, I have 2 bottlenecks in the business. It's how many people know me, and then of course how many hours can I, or do I want to be on Zoom calls? Like I make money being on Zoom calls basically. So I either try to scale that with group coaching. You can scale it by raising your rates. So 2 little bottlenecks there. I'd say one thing I've been chewing on though is a big core element of my coaching as well as just my content is this idea of momentum. I'm actually working on a book on this topic, and I'm really pushing people to create momentum. And you can do so much if you just commit to like a monthly sprint in October, or a daily habit, or, you can be a completely different person in 365 days if you commit to this daily work. So what I'm trying to give them as a coach is accountability. But outside of like an automated push text message type of thing, how can I keep my coaching clients accountable in ways that feel custom and personalized and contextual to whatever they're working on or what's going on in their business, but doesn't require me to sit and text for 8 hours a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one challenge I'm trying to figure out, is building this like accountability layer into my coaching programs.
I love that. Yeah, that's actually something that we specialize in. We actually work with coaches and mentors to duplicate themselves, because
Okay.
there's only so much time that we have in our day to be able to serve people. And especially when it comes to coaching, unless you're bringing coaches underneath you, then there's only so many people that you can serve as well. So we take, just like you were talking about with your GPT, and we take that so much further of building your online courses into a chat GPT kind of concept, where you can have it be really interactive, hold them accountable, super, super fun. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that for sure. But
Cool.
there's so many things that we can do with AI. And so, for anyone who's watching or listening this, think about what that same question that I just asked John. What is one thing that you would love to have an AI agent do in your business? And then let's just explore it and see kind of what that looks like. So thanks for being vulnerable, like we talked about, John, of being able to say,
Yeah.
what
I mean, I think
your
you're
business
asking the
is
right
for.
question, right? It's not about like, you probably don't need to ask yourself, can AI do this? It's probably
Mhm.
more about, where does AI make the most sense? Because the answer is like,
Mhm.
it likely can do it,
Yeah.
or if it can't yet, it will very soon. So more so like, where's the most bang for your buck, right? Like what things don't you like to do? I call it 10, 100, 1,000. Like, is it a $10 task, $100 task, or $1,000 task? Right. And so
Mhm.
when I'm on a Zoom call coaching or on a Zoom call selling, that's $1,000 task. But what are the $10 tasks that maybe don't belong on my to-do list anymore?
What a great way to frame that. I think that's perfect. I'm going to start using that. 10, 100, and 1,000. Is that what you said?
Yeah, like $100 task for me, it's probably like email. Like, they're important. It's customer service. It's client facing. But guess what? Like Joanne, my VA, I pay her a good wage, and she's in my inbox handling those tasks. And so I can create some margin and space. I'm still in my inbox, not like I'm never there. But we do daily check-ins, so she has context over who these people are. I finish a coaching call, she fires off the granola notes summary, tells them what their homework is for next month, and here's when your next call is. And so that's $100 task that I don't have to do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of $10 tasks that people are doing that they shouldn't be doing.
Oh, yeah. And it takes away from your income producing activities, right? Your
Yeah.
$1,000 tasks. So
Yep. Exactly.
completely agree. Well, cool. Okay. So thinking about your business, Leadmore, what's next for you? What's that next level look like of scaling, or more freedom, or more impact? Like, give us the
Yeah.
inside scoop.
Yeah, good question. So you hit on one of them, which is, what is it? I've always made sure it was Leadmore and not John Meyer Coaching, because I just believed, unlike Lemonly, I don't see myself selling this business because I'm such a huge part of it. But I do see a world where I could sell work and then have other subject matter expert coaches coaching these things. So Chris in my community as an AI and systems coach is sort of my first foray into that. But I could see Leadmore as a business helping your business in other ways. Maybe I work with the CEO and my other coach works with your team. Like that, we can go deeper
Mhm.
into the organization and make impact. Or as I teach this product ladder concept, most of my work is done for you. Like, Elise and I join the call, we talk, we help, and then you got to go back and run your business. Well, what if I go up a ladder to done for you, where I'm also helping you implement what I just taught?
Mhm.
AI could be part of that. Other coaches could be part of that. So that's one way I'm thinking about growth. And then in terms of that top of funnel awareness, I'm writing this book about momentum and hoping that, I think most people's businesses bottleneck is just not enough people know they exist, and so coaching is a very popular industry now. And so how do you set yourself apart? And I think a lot of it is what we talked about earlier, about showing that the proof is in the pudding and putting out your ideas into the world and getting people to know, like, and trust you. And so that's why I'm writing that book project as well. So hopefully
Mhm.
that raises the level, and then other people can kind of backfill as we grow.
I love it. That is so awesome. And of course, I love the word momentum, because our company is called Millionaire Momentum AI
Yeah.
Agency. And that's because there's just so it's so important to get that momentum going. I mean, I've heard that, slow is hard and fast is fun, right? And so
Sure.
in order to be able to get that momentum going, there's the people and the processes and the technology, just like we talked about earlier. And I feel like your company is just doing such a beautiful job of really showing what's possible, even with just 2 employees. I mean, you said it's just you and your VA, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yep.
amazing. Well, congratulations. I love the growth
Thank
that
you.
you have gotten and just how much of an impact you're making on the world right now. So, if people want to get to know you more and more about your services, where can they go?
Yeah, so leadmore.com is the business website. And then you can learn about me at johntmeyer.com. That's my website. They actually kind of connect you to each other. If you are in that solopreneur phase, no more solo. We're doing our last cohort of the year in November, December. And so that's to achieve consistent 5-figure months of revenue. And then if you're in that 500K or above, you're building your agency and you maybe need that accountability, that cheerleading, at leadmore.com or johntmeyer.com, you can reach out about one-on-one coaching as well.
Awesome. I love it. Well, cool. Well, John, this has been such an energizing conversation, and
Thanks,
you're
Elise.
just really leading by example in this field. So thank you for sharing your heart and just, everything that you've got going on right now.
Yeah, thanks for asking questions and good luck with what you're building. I appreciate the time today.
Of course, of course. So, everyone who's listening, if you're ready to scale your impact and bring your AI into systems and strategy and all of that, make sure you go to m2aiagency.com. And of course, check out johntmeyer.com as well. Remember that momentum is built one intentional move at a time. We'll see you guys in the next episode of Mastering AI Momentum. Thanks again, John.
See ya.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, leave us a comment, and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe, because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.